Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here. Okay, let me just decline that phone call. Sorry about that. My phone rings through on my laptop too, so that always makes it interesting when you're trying to do a live and things are happening everywhere else. So today is Casing Tuesday, and that's when we take a card out of a current Stampin' Up! Catalog and we give it a makeover. And if you've never heard of this before, I hope you will join us over on our Facebook group we have set up. And this is a group where everyone can join in and copy a card with us. And every week we have a group of bloggers that have agreed to blog with us every month, and we all share our cards there. And then we have lots of other people that join in and share their cards as well. So I hope if you are stuck at home that you will definitely join in with us and share that with us. So today's card, I actually haven't pulled it up yet. I'm going to do that right now. Today's card is actually using the Paris set that we have, and it's really a nice card, but I did something completely different as I usually do. And let me just pull this up. Tuesday. Okay, so here is the card that we have today. And it looks like the background looks a little bit plain in terms of the layers, but you can really jazz that up because there's the card base and then there's a layer on top of that. Let me pull up the sketch because we always do a sketch for that as well. Let me pull that up. And here is the sketch. So the sketch, basically we have the background, which that black layer is the card base. And then we have a separate layer that goes on top. And then we have another layer that you could use as a greeting layer. So that's kind of cool. And so let me just get rid of those for the moment. And then let me switch cameras and I will show you my card for the day. Okay, so here is my card, and it has the little chick from the Full of Happiness stamp set on here. And I just love this little chick. He's really fast and quick to stamp, and he's just so sweet. Definitely something that you'll want to have for your Easter stamp set collection. This little guy is just awesome. The other things we're going to be using on this card, so here's the Full of Happiness stamp set. And what you do to stamp this chick is you first stamp the chick and then you stamp the feet, the beak, and the eyes all separately, so you don't actually have to do any coloring. It also comes with this egg. And we don't have a die to match this stamp set, but what we do have is the Dino Days die set, or the Dino dies, and it comes with this die that cuts out the egg. So if you already have the Dino Days bundle, you can use the Dino Days die out of there. You can also buy the Dino dies separately so you can have this die. If you're interested in getting this die set, I would suggest you also get the Dino Days because these guys are really cute as well. So you could get this as a bundle rather than just getting the dies. The other dies that I'm using are the rectangle stitched framelits. So I use that to create this layer instead of cutting a layer. I thought it would be nice to have a little bit of stitching around here. So if you use the second largest die from this collection, it's the perfect size that almost makes the same type of rectangle as you would if you were just to cut the piece. So I think that's all I need to talk about in terms of ingredients for this. Good morning, Amy. I'm so glad you're here. She says we're ordered to stay home and stay healthy, and she's going to be stamping today. That's awesome. Our state actually, as of noon today, also has a kind of stay at home order, work at home, except for essential workers. So that starts at noon today. So we're in Massachusetts. So a lot of states are having those now. So I think that's great. We need to stop the quick spread of this disease so that we can get on top of it and keep our healthcare workers safe. And if down the road we get sick, then we want to know that we'll have someone that will take care of us too, right? So anyway, let's start stamping. And I'm going to start with that layer that I talked about that I cut with the stitched rectangle framelits. Or I already did the cutting because I wanted to save on time. When I ran it through the machine, my die cut machine, I ran it through on a slight angle. Whenever you have a line that is straight like this, you always want to try, if you can, to put it through on an angle. It's easier to run it through this way, and also you don't get that ka-clunk. Sometimes when it goes over that hump, it doesn't cut that line very well, but if you put it in just on a bit of an angle, it works so much better. So just keep that in mind when you use those. So we'll start off with our little chickie. Our little chickie, he's just so cute. So we just need 3 colors for him. We need Daffodil Delight for the body. We need Pumpkin Pie for the beak and the feet. And we need Memento, this is our black ink, for the eyes. So I'm going to start by just tapping on my ink pad. You don't want to smush too hard with these firm foam ink pads because they are really squishy. So I want to have him in the top right hand corner. So just kind of a little bit in, maybe a 1/4 inch from the right side and a 1/4 inch from the top. And just make sure you've got good pressure. And look at that. This stamp is designed to have shading in it already in the stamp. So look, I just did that. No work. It looks like I painted it on there. It is so cute. I'm telling you, you need to get the stamp set just for the chick alone because he's just so cute. And I have a feeling he's not going to carry over into future catalogs. So now will be the time to get him. And today we added some new items onto our celebration offerings. These are items from the annual catalog, but you can earn them for free. So make sure you check that out. If you go to my blog, the today's blog post has a banner up at the top. If you click on the banner, it will take you right through to the celebration rewards page, and you can look up our new rewards. Okay, so now I'm taking Pumpkin Pie and I'm tapping the little feet on. Oh, geez. Got lots of calls coming in today. Probably spam. All right, so I'm tapping, and I'm going to align the feet. I'm going to stamp the top of the feet about 1/2 of an inch up onto the body, okay? Because I think it looks a little bit better having it up a little bit. You could also have it right at the bottom too. I just found that it looks a little bit better if it's just a little bit in. And then we'll take the beak. Now the trick with the beak and the eyes is sometimes it's a little hard to see just exactly where you're going to come down, even with the clear stamp. So what I like to do is I like to come up from the bottom and then kind of maneuver into place alignment wise. And I can usually get it pretty close. Even if you're a little bit off, it's still going to look pretty good. Then we're going to take the eyes. Now, one of these dots is bigger than the other, and the bigger dot goes to the right. So I'm just going to add these. Same thing. I'm going to line them up, and then I'm going to kind of just roll them into place. Look at that. After I practiced this a few times, I've really gotten good at it, and I haven't really stamped that many chicks. So anyone really can learn how to do this. Okay, now if you don't have the Dino Days dies to do the cutting of this separately. Okay, so you can use this stamp right here, which is the outline of the egg, and then you can stamp the fill of the egg, and you can hand cut this. If you have the dies though, maybe I should show you both ways to do this. I will do that. Let me grab another piece. So I'll show you both ways that way everyone will know how to do it. Okay, so one way is to take your striped thing. I've got very vanilla cardstock here, just a scrap piece, and you're just going to stamp it down right in the middle of that scrap. The reason I chose very vanilla is to give a little bit of contrast with my white. So it will just be like a shade yellower than my white, and it will give it just a bit of contrast with the egg. Okay, so then let me grab, I'm gonna grab my outline off of here, off of the little photopolymer sheet. I need a separate block for that. Let me position my microphone. Hopefully you can hear me fine. So what I like to do is I like to put the stamp down on my work surface, because if I stick it on here, I might stick it on a little bit like crooked. So stick it with the side that you're going to stamp with down, and then use your block on top of that like that. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to ink this up like this. Okay, so now I have an outline, and then I'm going to take my filler stripes. I'm probably going to have to stand up to do this. You know what? Sometimes it's easier to stamp the filler first. So, okay, I did a pretty good job. I'm just going to turn this over for a second and see which is easier. If I stamp my filler first and then stamp the outline, or if it's easier. No, I think it's better the other way around. I would stamp the outline first. I think I had a little bit more. Okay, I did fairly well either way, but to see things better, I think I like doing the outline first and then doing the fillers. So if you did not have the dies, you would then go ahead. Now you have the lines to cut out this little image. So there is one way to do it without the dies. Now the way I did it, set these aside. The way I did it, let me just put these ink pads away. I'm going to need my black ink pad in a second, so I'll just scoot him over here. All right, so I'll grab my die cut machine. And I'll grab my little egg die. And I'm just going to hover this over top. And get this in the right spot. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'll run this through. I like this just slightly better because then the shell looks a little softer. When you have the outline, it's going to be a little darker. I suppose you could stamp off once if you wanted to. So by stamping off on this one, if you're doing the outline, have a scrap piece of paper, ink up your, where is it? Ink up your outline of the egg with the daffodil ink, stamp it on scrap paper, and then immediately stamp it onto the very vanilla. And that will give it a little bit of a softer line. You'll still be able to see it for cutting purposes, but it won't be quite as bright. but maybe you like the brightness of the edge of the egg. You'll have to see and experiment if you don't have the dies. I wanted like just to have that softer edge for my little dies here, so then I can add them. And I think that goes well then with my little chickie. So then I'll take some Tombow and I'll just add this down here. Oh, and you know the cool thing about this die is that if you cut two of them, they do fit together. This is a piece that I was experimenting with in a different cardstock color. But see, like they actually do come together perfectly to create a perfect oval egg. So that's kind of cool too, when you have the die, to be able to do that kind of, you know, you'll be able to do other things with that as well. But I just wanted like the one eggshell here down at the bottom. All right, so I've got this layer almost done. And now I want to add a greeting to it. So let's talk about the background layer that I used. I used the Pleased as Punch paper, and one of the papers is this beautiful kind of rainbow striped paper. On one side it's got the florals, so both sides are beautiful, but I'm using the striped side. So what I did was I cut this paper at 4¼ inches and then 5½ inches. So I got two pieces, but that left me with two stripes down here at the end that I could use. So what did I do? I had an extra stripe, okay? So I cut these little stripes off, and that's what I use to stamp the greeting on. So it gives it just a little bit of a different kind of look, because it's got kind of a pattern in the background. So you can use those extra stripes at the bottom and use them for the greeting. And this is one of the greetings that comes with it, and it's just so sweet. It says, "May your Easter be full of happiness." And that's just a nice greeting. So I'll use my ink, my black ink, and I'm just picking up the ink pad because it's easier for me to stamp this big long stamp with it in my hand. And then I'm going to stand up so I can come up from a bird's eye view, and then I'll just stamp this right down in the center. Let's peel that off. So, you know, what do you do if you messed up and you didn't stamp this straight and you don't have any extra stuff to cut? Then just use a scrap piece of paper. This is probably about 1/2 inch and then by about 4 inches. I originally cut it to 4¼ inches, but it just needs to be long enough for the greeting. And then I'm going to cut this in half. So I'll cut in between Easter and B, and then I'll cut it down on this end as well. So one of my cards is going to have a green greeting, and this one's going to have a pool party greeting, just because those were the stripes that were available right at the end. But I think they both look nice color-wise. You'll need a card base, so I just used a thick Whisper white cardstock, and I cut it to 11 by 4¼ and scored it in half at the 5½ inch mark. Then I'm going to take my layer here, and this is 4¼ by 5½, the same size as the card front. And then I'll just add this to the front of my card base. This is such pretty paper. It's like screams spring, right? So nice. And then you can take this over here and add it. And I'm putting this about 1/4 inch from the right side. because that's like the original card had the layer a little closer to one side than the other. So I'm trying to mimic what the card looked like. And then we'll just layer these little greetings on here. Look cute. Just reusing like that little piece of paper that probably you wouldn't have had a chance to use up. So just lay it on there. The original greeting was all in one piece, but for my card, I needed to break it up a little bit because it was going to be too long. And this way it ties in the egg with the chick. All right, so I've got those two like that. And then, oh, this ribbon is so wonderful. This is, look at this. It's such a nice Easter ribbon. The Daffodil Delight ruched ribbon. And it ties up really nicely. And I'm going to use, I don't know if it's super heavy, but I just feel like it needs the anchor of more than one mini glue dot. You could just use one, but I'm going to pick up one, and then I'm going to pick up another couple extra ones for the top of the bow, just to really anchor it into place. Or anchor it to your fingers, whatever works. And then I'll just add this right down below right here. The nice thing about choosing a ribbon that matches the background, like if I would have done this bow in like another color, like even a blue, it would have probably not blended in as well. I didn't want something like to scream, hey, here I'm a bow. I just wanted it to blend in nicely. So that's why this ribbon works so well. It just kind of blends in nicely, but it just adds a nice little element down at the bottom without being too obnoxious. Sometimes we can choose an embellishment that's too obnoxious and steals the show. So there are my two cards. And just because of the way I cut the paper, one card definitely has more of a yellow-orange vibe to it, and this one has kind of more of the blue in the background. So they'll look different depending on how you cut your stripes. I'm trying to reserve like the blue and the green stripes near the bottom for these greetings because I didn't want to have the yellow stripe right across the egg because then there would have been like no contrast for the greeting. So that's why the ribbon blends and the greeting stands out so that you can see it a little bit better. So yeah, those are the two cards, not too difficult. And isn't this chick amazing? Like, I love the chick because we've never had a stamp set like that before. And just 3 stamps, actually 4, because you're the background, the feet, the eyes, and the beak. And like, how can you do that any faster? Just because it is, we used to call it 2-step stamping, but this actually has 4 steps to it. But it's one of the favorite types of stamps that I have had right from the beginning. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with stamping, because for myself, someone that hasn't been trained to draw an image, this allows me to have the ability to put an image down on paper without having any sort of ability. And then I can build a cute little card around it. So isn't that fun? All right, I'm popping over here. Hello. I'm so glad that some of you joined me this morning. So how are you guys all doing? I hope you guys are doing well. I have my husband who's working next door in his office at home. And I have my son who's working down the hall in his room. We all have office hours now, and we meet up for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. And so we're all trying to work from home. It's been a little bit distracting. How is it at your house? Like, I have found, and I love my family, but I've been doing a lot of baking and cooking, and just so we have like really good, healthy food. And it's zapping my time. I've been, that's why I didn't get back on last week with another video. As soon as my son came home, I just kind of like put my mom hat back on, and I was just like kind of very involved in all of that. And even though we just have one kid, like when you have one, you like put more, not that you put more energy in, but I'm just saying that you spend time with that person because they don't have anyone else there. You know, it's just you. He's been separated from all his friends at university. He can't visit anyone here. So even though I'm not like the best person in the world, you know, or the person he'd want to be with most, I want to make sure that I have time for him. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but a good challenge. Absolutely a good challenge. Let me read some of your comments. Good morning, Marcia. Marcia asked, which set are the chicks in? So let me pull this back up, and this will probably be backwards. Oh, maybe not backwards. It's called the Full of Happiness stamp set. So this little guy right here, it is in the mini catalog, and I don't know that it will carry over in, like, we are going to be having a new catalog coming up in June, and not everything carries over. And I think because this is very specific to Easter, maybe because of the chick, I don't know that it will carry over, but it is so adorable. And it's something that I wouldn't want you to miss out on. Is like something that's hard to get in the future, because I don't know that we're going to have another little chick like this in this size. Like, it is a fair size. Like, if I just measure my little stamp chick here, like from top to bottom, he's about let me see, 2¼ inches the way I stamped him with the feet. And then he's about, what, 2 inches wide. So that's a fairly big stamp. We normally don't have like super, we do sometimes, but like that's a fairly large chickie, you know, to have. But isn't he cute? He's so cute. I just love him. But I love cute animals, right? And I'm kind of like going through a little bit of withdrawal because like I love animals. I love to say hello to them. We have a cat that comes by on our back porch. I think I've talked about him before. He's a Norwegian forest cat. And right now we're not petting any animals because, not that they can get the virus that's going around, but we're touching the animal, and you know, we could either get it from like the fur, you know, because we're all petting this really friendly cat. We have to like not do that right now, and it's killing me, you know. So Swiss was up on our back porch about a week ago. I'm like, I can't. He's like looking at me, eye contact, and then he does, you know, like the meow, but I can't hear him. And I'm like, I can't say hi to you. And I'm not saying hello to any of the dogs. Now, we've been walking really early in the park. Right now, we don't have restrictions on walking, but we don't want to be seeing too many people. So we walk like before 7 o'clock in the morning. There's hardly anyone in the park, and we like stay far away. We really don't want to be a problem. So that's the only time of day where we're walking, just because we just want to be sensitive to the fact that, you know, this thing can be airborne, and we don't want to catch it, and we don't want to give it to anyone, you know, if we get it. So we just have to be really careful, because, you know, you don't know that you have it probably for a while. So, you know, you could have it and not know it. So we have to all walk around as if we have it. Now, if we really do have it, then we wouldn't be leaving the house. But you know what I mean? We have to be like really careful because it is so spreadable. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not saying hello to little critters. And so I love little critters. Okay, let me keep reading. Hello, Connie from Denmark. I hope you guys are all okay in Denmark. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the card. And Dee was a little late getting here, but oh, she finally got to be on my live. Yay! Oh yeah, and Dee actually messaged me on one of my other videos and said like, you haven't been around, and I kind of felt bad But I just ended up last week was just like super busy, and I think I've been watching too much news. Not Do not watch too much news. Take care of yourself, and I have been taking care of myself too. Yeah, and Dee said, yeah, baking. So I had a bread machine that we used a lot. Oh, I can't even remember. Like this bread machine's like pretty old. I'm sure it's 20 years old. And I didn't even know that I had it. But a few weeks ago, I was looking for something in the basement because we've moved and like not all of our stuff fit in the kitchen. So what do I see? I see the bread machine. I'm like, huh, that's kind of cool. Maybe I should donate it to someone. But then I was like, wait a minute, I have a bread machine. And so I pulled the bread machine out and it still works. And so I've been baking bread. So yeah, my family loves this. I've done kind of a whole wheat white flour blend loaf, just delicious. And I've done kind of a cinnamon raisin bread. And I just ate the last slice for breakfast this morning. So delicious. So yeah, it takes about 4 hours to bake a loaf, but you just put all the ingredients in, and then the whole thing just like you know mixes it, creates the dough, and then bakes it. It's wonderful. So my family's really enjoying that, and we baked cookies. And I think when my husband's son came home, I made chicken noodle soup, and I baked biscuits with it. I actually love to bake. I just feel it's hard to balance the time. I have to get back into like, okay, I've got to balance my business with balancing my family, and it's hard because I tend to take over with the family aspect more than anyone else. So yes, yeah, Dee, isn't the chick stamp set cute? It's just adorable. So I hope you guys are taking good care of yourselves. If you need crafting supplies, Stampin' Up is still open. You can still order from Stampin' Up. Celebration has just 1 week left. So for every $50 or $100 you spend, you can choose a celebration item. And there's new items as of today. So if you click over to my blog, just go down below. You might need to click on see more because sometimes the description gets cut off. But down below, there's a link that will take you directly to my blog. And on that top banner, you can click through to the Stampin' Up! Store, and that will show you all the new items that we have available. There's level 1s and level 2s. Level 1s are for $50 spent, and level 2s are for $100 spent. And you can spend, like if you spend $100, you get 2 level 1s, or 1 level 2, or if you spend $150, it's for every $50 or $100 you spend. So you could get 3 level 1s for $150. So I'm trying to show you it's not just, you don't get just one per order if you spend more during your order. And right now it's just a great time to paper craft. I think right now this is a really great time to have this hobby because this is something that we can definitely do from home. And not only can we do this from home, we can send out cards. We can still, either put cards to be picked up in our mailboxes if that's the way it works in your community. Or I have a mailbox just down the street. This morning I mailed off some cards. This is something that we can do to cheer people up right now. This is what our hobby was actually made for. So, either if you have your supplies already, go get them out, make some cards for people, cheer them up, leave them on your neighbors' doorsteps, or send them in the mail to some friends or people that might be shut in. This is a great time to do that. Bless the people in your life with some happy mail. It's and then they can use the cards, put them up, and use them as decorations, because we stamp beautiful things, don't we? So do that. And then the other thing is, this is Casing Tuesday, so make sure you're part of the Facebook group. Challenge yourself to do today's layout, and then post it on there so you're part of a community. Do those things that will make you feel good, that will make other people feel good, and it will help you feel better about this whole situation right now. Okay, guys. Well, I do have more projects this week that I will share with you. I will be doing them over on YouTube. When I post them, they will probably be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when I will do the live for them because that's kind of my preferred time. So, and I do try and post a thing in advance. So if you go to my YouTube channel, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and then click on the little bell for notifications. But if you go ahead of time, you should be able to see that there is a live upcoming and scheduled on my YouTube channel. All right, guys, have a great week, and I hope to catch you sometime this week on a live. Take care. Bye bye.